So, Brad, it's E3 time. First conference down, EA.
We just got
Uh,
out of the EA conference.
yes, because we're in Los Angeles right now.
Yes, actually.
It's really hot here.
Yeah.
Um,
Strangely enough, our rooms look exactly the same in LA as they do in Massachusetts, so, yeah.
yeah, I made sure to rent a hotel room that was just a complete copy.
Yeah.
So, Brad, first off, I want you to give me your basic thoughts on what you thought of the EA press event
As a whole?
as a whole.
Alright, so as a whole, I thought we got a lot of eye candy, but not a lot of substance for a lot of these games. Biggest offenders, Mass Effect Andromeda, a lot of the Star Wars stuff, um, and honestly, those were some of the only things they talked about, really. Uh, I was happy with the Battlefield stuff they showed. I was very happy with the Titanfall stuff that they showed. But overall, I would have liked a little more content when it comes to the Battlefields, or not the Battlefield, the Star Wars Battlefront and the other Star Wars games in the making, as well as Mass Effect Andromeda. What about you, Jacob? What'd you think?
I thought overall was all right. I think it was very light on games for their whole thing of why they made their whole own event is that it's for the players. We're showing games that the players will want to see. I feel like there was not a lot of stuff shown.
I think the only reason they're doing their own event was because of the tournament that's going on right now with the 32v32, right? So they wanted it so that as soon as their conference was done, they could throw it over to that tournament, and they would not be competing with any other conferences. Where if they had done it at E3, their tournament would be competing with E3 for viewers, and they didn't want to do that. That's my observation, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff going around about what the importance of E3 is anymore when there's a lot of these fan events put on, like how PlayStation has, what is it, PlayStation Experience and stuff. So a lot of people are really thinking, like, what's the point of having just this one time of year where everything's shown? But, like, I love E3. I love a good press conference. And I thought that overall, what they showed was good. Some stuff was just eye candy, like you were saying. But I think overall we got a good look at some things that we've been wanting to see for a while.
Yeah, so why don't we jump right into it? And the first thing they talked about was Titanfall 2. So what'd you think of that?
I thought Titanfall 2 looked really, really good.
I
Like,
was very happy with it as well.
the multiplayer gameplay alone, I think, was enough to kind of get me hooked, right? I played the first Titanfall and I liked the first Titanfall. The problem was just that it didn't have that community that stuck around. And I feel like if it had that, or even like a single player component to go and play, right? They had a campaign in the first one, like a loose campaign,
Yeah.
but it was just mainly a radio drama that happened while you played a multiplayer match. So I think that now that they have an actual single player campaign in this, it seems like it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, and even if the campaign's not very big, it'll be a 5, 6, 7 hour thing, but I think that's important. I think every game needs a single player, or just about every game, because you get more attached to the world, you get more attached to the mechanics of the game when they're presented to you in a narrative form, and so I'm really happy to see that their story mode is sort of picking up that. And for example, I didn't even know that the Titans were like sentient. I didn't know they were like AI controlled and they can talk.
They never had that in the first one because it was just I mean they were AI controlled and stuff. Like if you got out of the Titan, it could go
Yeah,
around
it
and
would do
still
its own
continue.
thing, but
Yeah,
to know that they have like their own personalities and like that whole scene with who authorized you being piloted by this Titan, and the Titan's like, we had no other choice, right?
yeah.
Like that, I think that's kind of cool. You're giving a little more personality to the things that people just considered robots up to this point.
The main character's name is Jack Cooper, which I made the comment of that being the most generic white guy name I've ever heard in my life.
Next to Dan White, I mean, he's definitely living in suburban Connecticut.
Yeah, and he just joined this war because he had to.
So I don't know if you noticed this, but the multiplayer trailer for Titanfall 2 did not show the sword. Only the
No,
trailer.
I think
No, I made a note of it as I was watching. There was no sword in the multiplayer one, unless I missed it somehow. But there was in the story mode one.
they did show off. Well, they mentioned six Titans. I don't know if they showed off all six of them, but each Titan has their own special abilities,
Yep.
and they showed off that in the multiplayer gameplay trailer. And I think some of those Titans, they have kind of cool abilities. Like one of them looked like it had like the Force.
Yeah.
Like
There's going to be a multiplayer beta. I figured I'd bring this up quickly. If you want to check out that multiplayer beta, you want to get into it, head over to Titanfall.com and you can sign up for that.
yeah,
But the trailers looked great. I'm really happy about the single player. The grappling hook I thought looked very smooth. I was very happy with how they integrated that.
I liked that shot at the end when he flew up in the air with the other guy's Titan, and they were both in the air, and they grappled to him and kicked him.
Yeah. Of course, Twitch put out a little tweet saying apparently Scorpio's making an appearance in Titanfall 2. Which, haha, very funny. But anything else about Titanfall 2 you want to talk about?
Just coming out on October 28th, which I think is a terrible idea because it's a week after Battlefield, and that's just kind of. I think it's a week after Battlefield and a week before Call of Duty.
Yeah, like they're cannibalizing their own franchise here. Like with how much hype Battlefield 1 is garnered up, you don't want to compete against that.
Yeah, you don't want to. And then, I doubt, mainly because, like, Titanfall, while it's a fun game and it's, I think, a very well-made game, it doesn't have that audience that Call of Duty does where even, like, people look back on Titanfall and they're like, it may have been a good game, but, like, there's bad juju about it, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Whereas with Call of Duty, while this new one has bad juju, people are still going to get it, mainly because of Modern Warfare.
I'm calling it right now. In 2 or 3 years, Titanfall is going to be the sci-fi shooter to beat.
Probably, if it goes on past this year, because I don't know, those sales could really kill it this year.
It could.
After Titan. Oh, do you have anything else to say about Titanfall?
No, I was going to move on, so yeah, go ahead.
After Titanfall, we got some look at Madden. I mean, Madden looks nice.
Yeah. The only thing about that whole sports section that I wanted to talk about was their sort of focus on competitive play with this 3-tier challenge system they have going on with the Challenge, Premier, and Major, which are 3 different tournaments that they're setting up. Like, Challenge is like the local level. Premier is a live, larger scale level tournament that they're partnering with venues to do. And then you have Major, which is the global tournament being run by EA. So I think it's really cool they're putting a big focus on the more competitive side of their sports games. Which
Challenger, I think, is run by players, so you set up your own tournaments on the Challenger level.
Yeah, it's much more local.
Yes.
And as you jump up the levels, it gets much more. I should probably lean closer into the mic, so I'm probably not echoing in the room. But yeah, it gets.
Am I echoing? Do I sound good?
Yeah, you sound fine.
All right.
But yeah, it's I'm happy to see that.
Do you have anything else to say about Madden?
No, I'm not a sports player. I mean, I'm sure if you play sports games, you're probably happy with what you saw. So,
yeah, it'll be Madden, I think.
Yeah.
Then we got our first real kind of actual look at Mass Effect Andromeda, which wasn't even really a good look at Mass Effect Andromeda.
No, like I said earlier, this was probably the biggest offender of just eye candy that we had, simply because like we didn't see anything. Like, we know that, it's good. You're going into the Andromeda Galaxy. You're the alien now, and we saw him doing that ground pound thing, which was kind of cool. But other than that, we didn't learn anything.
We saw some of the stuff on the planets. That looked gorgeous. This game overall looks incredible.
It looks good, but honestly, I was expecting a little more for a game that's going on over 2 years in development at this point. I would have liked a little bit more information on it.
Yeah, I definitely would have liked to have learned more about maybe what the storyline is of it. I mean, we got kind of a glimpse of it. They said that you're someone leaving the Milky Way, going to the Andromeda Galaxy, trying to find a new home for Earth, I guess.
Yeah, a new hope for humanity.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I hope we hear more about this game in the coming future.
Then we got an extended look at FIFA and their new story mode, The Journey, which I actually got real kind of hyped about, mainly because, as I've been talking about on the show, I've been playing that NBA 2K16 story mode called Living to Dream, which is just like, they put so much effort into the story mode for that, with like the storyline of everything that's going on with your character, and it looks like they're doing that too with this new FIFA thing, and it looks actually like really good.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that not only are they focusing on the competitive aspect with their Maddens and their NFLs, but with FIFA they're focusing on their story, which I think is really, really cool. And it's following Hunter, I believe his name was, right?
Yeah, I think that was like his last name. It was something Hunter.
It's following his career through the world of soccer or football, for those of you across the pond. But yeah, I was really happy to see that.
If I was ever going to check out FIFA, which it's not very likely, but if I was ever going to check it out, it would probably be to play the story mode, because it does actually look like like a really well told story, at least just from the trailer that we saw.
Yeah. Oh, quickly, I want to talk about that play to give thing they talked about right before FIFA. What'd you think about that? Where they're putting in-game challenges in games and then donating to charity. There were 5 separate charities they had mentioned.
I like the idea of it. I think it's cool when game developers do give to charity because giving to charity is just like a nice, good human thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am I'm fine with them doing it. I like that it's challenge based sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like there were objectives in Star Wars Battlefront, like those bounties you can do.
Mm.
That was one of those. There were special teams in their Star Wars mobile games that you had to use. I believe FIFA and Madden had separate challenges as well.
FIFA. I remember specifically the FIFA thing was you did like a special cup and you could win a special like rare player pack or something like that.
Yeah. So, and it's no small thing either. $1 million going to
Yeah.
charity. So that's a large sum of money, and I'm really glad to see EA's trying to save some face in front of the gaming audience, because we are kind of harsh on EA at times.
Yes. But going back to FIFA, they showed some stuff about how league managers are in the game now. They had all these real league managers that I had no clue who they were. And some guy came out on stage.
He didn't want to be there.
Yeah, he looked like he was like, they roped me into this, so
Yeah.
I
I'm
guess
in
I'll
the
do
game,
it.
so I gotta go to this stupid conference and crack jokes with some guy I've never met before.
Yeah, good for Peter Moore though for kind of moving it along and making it like not as awkward as it could have been.
Yeah, he caught on pretty quickly. He's like, okay, this guy's not into it. I kind of gotta move this.
Yeah. But after talking about league managers, they announced EA Originals, which is their new publishing arm for specifically indie games that would help out indie developers with development and marketing for new games. And they showed off this new game called Fee. Is it
Yes.
Fee or Fey?
It's Fee, I believe. And yeah, that is just F-E, and it's really, really weird.
It's a really weird looking game, but it's very pretty. It's got a very pretty art style to
It
it.
is, I think it is very, very pretty. And I'm not gonna lie, this is probably the thing I was happiest to see at EA, at this press conference. I think this was the thing I was most excited for by the time they were done talking about it, just because I think it's really, really cool. And to quickly go over what Fee is, if you haven't seen it, it's essentially you are this little cub thing that I'm showing on screen right now.
Little wolf dog.
Yeah, little wolf cub, and you can talk to these other nature things, the other animals, and even the plants, and they all communicate via music. So if you learn their music, you can communicate with them, and the enemy of the game are the silent ones. And this whole thing seems to be an allegory for like deforestation and destruction of nature, because the silent ones seem to be big and mechanical, and it looks like they're attacking nature. And the whole point of the game is you explore, you learn, and you try to figure out more about who you are, because like you seem to be the only one of your kind, if I gathered that correctly,
Or at least you got separated from your.
from your pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really happy about this. It looked really, really cool.
It looks cool. I want to check out more about it.
Yeah, so going back to EA Originals, though, going over the things they talked about, they're supporting small indie developers. They're and they're funding them, offering what they called a level of security, which I thought was interesting. And I was all for this until they said one phrase that made me worry.
What?
They said the phrase, all profits go to the devs,
Yeah.
which is great, but that makes me worry for one thing. What is EA getting out of this? And that's making me think they're gonna put their fingers in a couple cookie jars, and I hope that doesn't turn into something bad.
I assume maybe what's from going off that line of all profit goes to the developers, I think maybe EA just makes back the money they put into it. Whatever money is made extra goes straight back to the developers.
It's possible that they take a flat fee almost, so technically they're getting all the profits because EA's not cutting their profits. EA's charging a fee.
Say for this fee game, right?
Yeah.
Say they put in like 100 grand to the game. Let's just say. Once that game makes back that 100 grand, all the money that's made after that just goes straight to the developer of fee. That's what I'm gonna assume they mean by that statement.
I'm gonna hope that's what they mean, because otherwise I have a feeling like they could do some of their EA trademarked things, and I hope that's not what happens. You know, I don't want to see microtransactions in games that don't deserve them. I don't want to see DLC in games that don't deserve them. And they're going after very small dev companies, taking what do they call it? First time unique experiences. So I hope they don't try to use their leverage in a way that does not benefit those companies. But I don't think EA would do that. They're a questionable company at times, but they're not all bad.
they've definitely turned around their whole um like, we're a big corporate entity sort of thing. Like they seem very much more for the players and for people, like for developers, it seems. You know what I
Yes.
mean? I mean, sure, there's the occasional we're gonna put DLC and microtransactions and stuff, but overall, it seems like they're getting past it. But speaking, I guess, of microtransactions, because it has to do with Star Wars Battlefront, they showed off a huge montage of all their upcoming Star Wars games from Motive, who are working with DICE on Battlefront 2, and they showed off a little bit of in-engine footage of the uh, what is it, of the Visceral game, which looks really, really pretty. They showed off some more mobile stuff for that. I guess they have like a Galaxy of Heroes or whatever their new thing is. They showed off they're making some more expansions for Old Republic, and they showed off some mocap for Respawn's third person game, which seems to indicate to me that they're doing a Jedi type game.
Yeah, it's overall, I think that's probably one of the more disappointing parts of the conference. Like the only thing we really know is Visceral's is 2018 with original narrative and new characters, which
Yep.
doesn't tell us much. I mean, we could say that's KOTOR 3 for all we know because it's an original narrative with new characters. So we have no idea what that means. And the Dice and Motive working together, cool, I guess. I am sort of excited to see that it's going to contain content from the new films.
Yes.
That's a step in the right direction. I think I do eventually want to see a prequel because I
Yeah.
think the prequel has some of the coolest cast of characters and can be done very very well. So I think it'd be a shame not to see them in game form.
What if they in Battlefront 2 do like how original Battlefront 2 did, where it had the multiple different generations of stuff?
I would be very very happy to see that. That Battlefront 2 I think is probably one of my favorite Star Wars games, cutting very close to Knights of the Old Republic 1. So
Mm.
I would be very happy if that's what they wanted to do.
I'm very excited to see what's happening. Visceral's game looks cool. It kind of reminded me of 1313 back in the day. Just it
I
seemed like third person, like you weren't a Jedi. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I mean this seems to draw a lot of influence, if not direct like correlation to that game. So
I mean, who knows? It could be redoing
yeah,
1313.
this could be what 1313 turned into, which was a rumor for a while. So
That could be really cool. And then they ended off the show showing off some stuff about Battlefield 1. They
yes,
showed off a new trailer. They showed off dynamic weather stuff, and all of it looks incredible.
yeah. The only things I really wanted to point out about Battlefield 1 because we didn't see anything new really, the stuff we'd all seen before. But I wanted to point out the destruction of the camp, the terrain. I can't speak today,
Mm,
and the dynamic weather, which I thought was really really cool. Simply
yes.
because that changes up the gameplay a lot more than people realize. Like take snipers for example, something people are always complaining about in Battlefield. There's always way too many snipers, right?
Hmm.
But with this dynamic weather, if the whole battlefield's foggy or in thick rain, you can't snipe because you can't see,
Right.
right? So like it's gonna force people to play differently based on the terrain and the fact that you can blow through walls with the tanks and you can run things over. And we saw in the we Jacob and I watched a little bit of that tournament they have going on where they shot down that big blimp and it landed on the ground, crushed all the houses beneath it, and the metal frame of the blimp was still there. So you had to now instead of dealing with those houses, you had to sort of travel through the skeleton of that blimp, which I think is really really cool.
That is the, if I'm going to quote their previous buzzwords, that's the levolution for this game.
Yes, and a phrase that I wrote down because they said this a lot was "No battle is ever the same." They said that phrase 3 or 4 times at that conference, and they're very adamant in saying that every time you play Battlefield 1, the match is going to feel a little bit different than every time you've played it before.
I like that a lot. I like hearing that because I feel that a lot of ways with a lot of their pre-canned animation stuff with like the building in Battlefield 4, it would always just go down the same way. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah,
think that even like they said, the blimp falls down differently every single time once it's blown up, and I like hearing that a lot. So I think that a lot more variety in a Battlefield game is going to make for a better Battlefield experience.
yeah. I
Uh,
mean, one note that I've noticed here, I mentioned this to you off air, but everything they announced, with the exception of like Fee and their mobile game, is running on Frostbite. Like
yes.
everything is Frostbite for EA now because they own it. So I don't know how I feel about that yet. I think
It's a
it's fine.
gorgeous engine. So
It is a gorgeous engine, but it does limit them in a little bit of how they can make their games look. If
yes.
everything's running off the same engine, everything's going to look the same. So you got to sort of be careful with that.
Mm. But so let's because we're at like 20 minutes right now, and that's where I want to kind of keep this reined in. But
So wrap it up.
yeah, wrap it up. Just maybe let's give a score to it. An A, B, C, D, E, or F score for this. I'm gonna give them a C plus. Thought it was a good conference. It showed off some good stuff about games, but overall, I think they could have showed a lot more. They could have definitely had some actual gameplay for some of the games, like Mass Effect and Star Wars. Eh,
I'm gonna agree with you. I'm gonna go B minus, just because I really, really liked that fee thing. I thought that looked really cool, and I'm actually very interested in that. I thought the EA Originals things they showed off could be very, very good for the gaming community, and I agree with you saying that Andromeda and Star Wars were very lackluster, which is sad because next to Battlefield 1, that's what people wanted to see the most.
yes, that and Skate 4.
Yes, which was not even mentioned. They didn't even make a pass at the joke that's being thrown around with everything being spam Skate 4, which kind of tells me Skate 4 is not in the works, guys.
Yeah,
You're not getting a Skate 4. I'm sorry.
I mean, I don't know why though. Like at this point, I'm rambling here, but that'd be like a license to print money. But so that's what we thought about the EA conference. Um, Maybe let us know in the comments below this, or even in an email, what you thought of the EA conference, and we'll see you guys at the Bethesda after the Bethesda conference.
Stay tuned.
All right.